All right, just want to double check. Did everyone hear this webinar is being recorded? Yes, yes, cool. Okay, I want to make sure we are recording. Hi everyone who's coming in. We are getting started, but as everyone is coming in, please take a look at the poll that we have on the screen. We are curious to see at what stage in the coaching business life cycle you are, so that we can potentially tailor our discussion to the kinds of people that we have in this session. So please vote, panelists, also please vote. I should hope that all of you are in the my coaching business is established. All right, as everyone's coming in, I will get started. So welcome to our second installment of the Business of Coaching webinar, which will be a monthly webinar on the first Wednesday of each month. And this webinar will tie into coaching competencies like our other webinars do, but sometimes more loosely than others, because the purpose of this webinar is to help you with the business side of becoming a coach. Yes, some of you, many of you join big organizations or your internal coaches of some sort. So this doesn't, not everyone is starting a coaching business, but the kinds of things that we will cover in this webinar series should be applicable to anybody who's thinking about becoming a coach or already is a coach. So the approach we'll be taking in this series is that each month will cover a different stage or a different area of the business of coaching. And we're going to try to go through kind of the life cycle. So, last month, we talked about just people's different coaching work, just to show, whatever. So if you missed that one, you can go on YouTube to our channel and take a look at that webinar. Today, we'll be talking about finding your coaching niche. Do you need a coaching niche? If you do need a coaching niche, how do you figure it out? If you figure it out, when do you figure it out? Do you stick with one? Does it change over time? So we are going to explore that with a few of our lovely panelists, all of whom have trained with Coacharya. So the successful people you see here today, you can be just like them. I'll leave the poll up for a couple more minutes as people come in, but I would love to just go through the panel and get a quick introduction from each of you. Just a couple minutes, let us know your name, where you're based, what kind of coaching you tend to do, and anything else you think is relevant to get the discussion going today. So since you were here first today, Yogesh, why don't we start with you?
Hi everyone, great to be here, and thanks for the invitation, Magda. So I am based in India in a city called Pune, and after my career with the industry, primarily as a HR head for companies and business head, I started my coaching journey. I trained with Coacharya, and thanks to Cindy and Ram, I could become an MCC. So the coaching is happening right now. And when Magda gave me the invitation, she gave me a very clear brief that please mention all the goof ups that you have done while finding your niche. And in the discussion today, that's what I would spend time on, because I have perhaps done many more mistakes than one should do. Maybe it will help. But lovely to be here. Thank you, Magda.
Thank you. And mistakes are great. We learned from them. As I told you before this call, my life's motto is you are what you eat. Every mistake and every success makes you who you are. So thank you for being here. Who wants to go next? Just jump in.
Okay, I'll go. Hi, everyone. I'm Cindy from South Africa. So when I became a coach, this is like almost 15 years ago, we didn't think about niches at all. It was more about where do you get the clients and how much of coaching can you do to get to the next credentialing level. So all we did was coach, 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 and coach, and it didn't matter who. But as I journeyed or continued coaching, I found myself attracted to a particular type of clients. And I think that drew me more and more to develop into that field of executive coaching. And so the more I developed myself in that field, the more and more, of course, I grew in the field and attracted more clients. So I think as you journey along, you find your niche, or some people may say they already know what they're passionate about and want to position themselves in that particular field. So I'm glad I'm here. Thanks, Magda, for the invite.
No worries. Gayatri, do you want to go next?
Hi, Magda. I know some of you already. So I have got 30 years experience, and my journey into coaching came about a little, actually maybe even mischievously, because Ram had started his first class in Bangalore, and a lot of my classmates joined it. So I thought it's good to go back to school. I had been doing coaching without knowing it, because I realized that I had been coaching. I didn't know it till then. And my aim was to actually become a better listener, because I do a lot of consultancy work and training work. And I thought the coaching skills, and I would like to say that to every person who is considering it, it's a life skill. It's not just a business. So whether you end up being a full-time coach or not, you will be doing a lot of coaching, which is what I realized. And then I fell in love with it, and I do a lot of coaching now. And I was one of those who said I'm not established enough, because I think there's a lot to go, and I tend to do a lot of other work which gives me a good insight to becoming a better coach. So, I had an organization, a one woman organization called Transitions, and I find that I'm doing a lot of coaching in that area. It could be transitioning from somebody who is, all alpha, all gung-ho about a career, to reprioritizing. I have coached people who have gone back to work in their 50s. So it's basically making a transition from one stage of life to another, and most of it is through looking at what their priority is. And I'm based in Bangalore, and I hope I can give some insights into finding a niche. Um, so it evolves. It's not like I had a passion for this, but when I look back, I realized that I'm doing a lot of it, and I like doing it. So thanks.
Yeah, you need to like what you do, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much. And Pradeep.
Pradeep, you're
Hi, good evening, everybody. This is Pradeep. Thanks a lot, Magda, for inviting me to this esteemed panel, and look forward to the interactions with everyone. There are about 35 people right now, and including my colleagues out here, and some of them who have been my partners in crime. I started coaching about, I think, 12 years ago. Having spent about 26, 27 years in the corporate life. So my normal direction obviously took me to executive coaching, apart from the fact that it's the only one which paid actually at that point in time. I do have my views over time around the nation. I will share appropriately and accordingly as the participants ask questions, and I'd like to know certain things. So I look forward to this. Again, along with Yogesh, it is Cindy out here who managed to get, Cindy and Ram managed to get us past that hurdle of MCC. So thank you, Cindy, once again.
So this is basically an advertisement for MCC.
Yeah, if people wish to do it.
Awesome. Next session starting January 2020.
There you go, Magda.
Always be selling. Business of coaching. So speaking of the business of coaching, here's our poll of the people who have voted. If you haven't voted, which many of you haven't, too bad, it's too late now. But as you can see, we are skewing a little bit towards the beginning of people's starting their business, which makes sense because we are here to learn together. So thank you very much, everyone, for your answers. So it's interesting, when you were giving your introductions, a few words came up, that there's certain areas where you make money. There's certain things that you have to like or have passion. And I actually wanted to share a little slide I made ahead of this, just thinking about where this discussion might go. And I'm interested to hear what you guys think about this. Can everyone see? Yes, yes.
Right.
So I'm curious if this is actually your experience, because so I thought about kind of, what are the two areas where you could find success in coaching? And I thought about, passion is a big driver for people, and a few of you mentioned that. So I thought, if passion increases in your work, you're going to have more job satisfaction, hence the heart. But where your visibility is, the higher it is, and the more credibility you have in an area or a niche, or just in general, the more money you tend to make. So I thought that, the nice, wonderful place we all want to be will be the heart and the dollar together, where you can make money doing what you love. So I don't know if this is a good jump off point or not, but I'm wondering if, all of you are in this hopefully area, or does this even make sense in your journey? And if you are in the green square, how did you get there? And what mistakes you made? I think the mistakes are what we're going to learn the most from today. So, all the panelists, if you unmute yourself as and when you like, and we would love to hear from all of you.
Hi, I'll go, Pradeep here. I definitely on the left top where the heart is there. I'm not so sure about the dollars, but I do definitely, if you sort of substitute dollars with stars, then maybe I can relate to that.
5 gold stars for you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So how did you, you said you're very high on the heart. So that sounds like you and the passion and your niche aligned. How did you get there?
So at this point in time, let's leave the niche out. The passion is about coaching and being able to, in some sense, support people in achieving their goals.
Okay.
And I find it an extremely satisfying profession, if you want to call it a profession. An extremely satisfying work. And the beauty about it, which I like personally very much, is that you can actually see whether you're making a difference almost with every conversation. And I think that's the beauty about coaching.
Yeah.
So since the topic is about niche, for me, as I said earlier, it naturally followed because of the corporate career that one had. And therefore, in that corporate career, obviously, having dealt with people at senior leadership roles, and having been, I don't know about coach, but definitely having been sounding board, advisor, counselor, whatever else label you want to give it, getting into coaching executives was a natural path for me. But one of the things that I will mention about niches, which we'll talk about later, is I think as I have coached people, the fact is when you start coaching, the niche doesn't matter because you will look at a person holistically, but more about that later.
Okay.
So, Magda,
yes.
I'm Gayatri here. My experiences are the opposite of Pradeep because I left the corporate world in the sense as a full-time employment more than 20 years ago. So, people are talking about mistakes. I don't know if it's a mistake, but one of the hurdles is exactly what Pradeep is saying. They want a person who has been there, done that. So you've sat on the board, you've been a chief executive. So then the credibility or the acceptability, initially at least, is higher. And, that's so people often are looking for coaches who are a replica to some extent of the person being coached. So that's a barrier one has to break. And the way I would do, I have had some success is saying, why would you want more of the same? You know, you want a different perspective. Would you like to look at it from a different lens? So it's worked somewhat, but that's something which I have experienced.
I was muted. That's very interesting because it just shows that, yeah, there are different paths to get to where you are going. Do you find with other coaches in your network, do you find kind of like half and half those different paths? Or would you say that you're more unique?
I was unique because people don't leave the corporate life after 10 years. And the thing is, I did not join a company as a consultant. I was always a freelancer.
Okay.
So, you know, it was a little different, but on the other hand, that's an example for people to perhaps think of following.
Yeah.
You don't have to have one straight path, you know.
Yeah.
You can have a balance of life too. So to some extent, when I am talking about balance of life and coaching people, they seem to resonate much better because in that area I've got some experience of, you know, taking a backseat to my career and then jumping right back in, which I think is a advantage today.
Yeah. And you know what? So even when I titled this webinar and used the word niche, and a few of you said, let's not talk about niche yet, I kind of agree. It kind of makes me feel a bit icky because, you know, my background's in marketing. And even there, people would ask you, what is your niche? You know, are you an online marketer? Do you do e-commerce? Do you do branding? And end of the day, like, you have to be pretty well-rounded to be a good marketer, even if your depth of knowledge is in certain areas more than others. And even, yeah, saying the word niche may become a bit of a crutch, but I think what's sounds to me like you're saying, and that resonates with me, is it's more about fit, right? Just like when you're starting to coach someone, there's that first chemistry meeting. If you have chemistry or you don't. But same thing with kind of your background, and not everyone is the same. If we were all the same, then only one kind of person would be getting a coach, because naturally the others who don't want, you know, the super corporate ex-board member, they wouldn't want to work with you, right? So yeah, you need lots of colors of M&Ms in the bowl. Cindy, what thoughts do you have? You seem to be nodding your head.
About credibility and visibility. I'll pick up on that part. So I don't know about visibility because I'm not good at visibility or any kind of social media stuff. I mean, I've got LinkedIn, I think, from, I can't count how many years now, perhaps about 15, and I've never sent a post or anything. So I'm not good with that visibility stuff. But this thing about credibility, I think it speaks volumes too. And within the space of credibility, there seems to be I hope I'm wording this well, but there seems to be an underlying space of word of mouth. And through word of mouth, it builds up visibility. So there seems to be, like, you know, a partnering or a parallel process that goes on with both. Yeah? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, word of mouth is the best kind of marketing you can get, right? Yeah. And it happens when you have credibility, when people start talking about you in that context. So, so you are marketing just in the best way possible, Cindy.
So to bring up that point, this whole thing about credibility, there are some factors that will contribute to it, you know, like credentialing and how you develop yourself and how you project yourself. You guys was talking about image consulting earlier on. So it's how you bring yourself forward and how you show up and develop yourself, right? There are many elements around that adds to credibility.
So VG actually made a good comment that there is that some clients expect an element of mentoring from a coach. So credibility is drawn strongly from experience, more specifically past industry experience and background. So just kind of, reiterating, you need a plethora of different experiences to have the right coach for the right person. So there's actually, I'm trying to catch up on the comments because there's quite a few coming up. There's a few asking about the stage of career to become a coach. A lot of successful coaches are in their 30s and 40s. Is it true that most people are at the end of their career when they veer towards it? And someone else asked before, yeah, do most coaches tend to do coaching towards the end of their corporate life? So I'm keen to hear your perspectives, but I do want to ask something. So, part of the reason why I wanted us to start this webinar series is because I speak to a lot of prospects who want to do coach training with Coacharya. And my background is not in coaching, like I said before, actually marketing. So I joined Coacharya for the business experience, and I'm becoming a coach in the process. I'm actually training myself right now. And our class is very diverse. We have someone who's got, a few years experience teaching, and we have others who've been coaching for a long time, just they're not credentialed. So it really spans that entire range, I suppose. But I think it kind of takes me back to the passion bit on my little graph earlier, because the common thread that I hear when I speak to people about coaching, no one has ever said, okay, so I'm at the end of my corporate career. I've done this for 30 years. I now want to monetize my experience and become a coach. After hundreds and hundreds of people, I've never heard that. If it's somebody who is quite senior in their career, they've said things like, as part of my career, like I've always been coaching my team, or always giving advice, or just, leading a team. And I've loved it, and I'm good at it, I think, but I need the tools to formalize that, I suppose, and tools to pivot that into my profession. Because when I think about my day job, the most happiness I get out of it is my one-on-one coffees when I'm coaching my team. So yeah, it's interesting how passion, at least in my experience, has been the thread, not necessarily the level of experience or background. Anyone care to comment? Those of you who do, who've done the executive bit, why coaching? Was it the passion, or was it the fact that you had the experience, might as well make something good out of it?
So Magda, can I take a shot at that?
Please.
Yeah. So I liked your slide actually, because it's a great thing to have a combination of passion and visibility, credibility. And in my journey, as Cindy said, when I left my corporate job and started this, honestly speaking, it was more about anything that comes your way, you go on taking. Okay, honestly. And you're anxious to be a coach, though you have a passion, you also have an anxiety from a commercial perspective to take it. And I went on taking some assignments, realizing almost a fundamental question: am I really enjoying coaching? And then came a question: was I doing coaching? Because a lot of other things were expected. So the first thing I learned was, and I'm talking in the realm of executive coaching only, because of the experience that I have. My coaching is all about the executive coaching. The first experience and the first thing I learned is that I think it is very important to understand your filters extremely well. What kind of people you want to coach, what kind of the coaching you yourself would enjoy. So at one point of time, I actually kept aside the coaching and I started interacting with the business people. I enjoy talking to the CEOs, enjoy talking business. And when I started making some sense to them, some of the needs of coaching emerged. And that is when I started, talking to the people. The other thing which I did counterintuitive was I just put up a price point where, just to ensure that they wouldn't send anybody and everybody for a coaching. And I was pretty adamant at that. and not from a commercial perspective, just to ensure that there's certain value that you get. So net what I learned is that the engagement with the sponsor is extremely crucial to understand the context, why they want to really do this. Do they really want to do coaching? Are they expecting advisory? Are they expecting a mentor? Are they expecting a coach? So that dialogues helped me to finally get some good assignments. The second thing is, I wouldn't call it a niche, but because of my background, I do coach a lot of HR people. I mean, funny. I realized that a lot of HR people are coordinating with me for some coaching of some leaders, and they are not the part of that journey. And I saw some kind of a curiosity, if I can be a part of that, and I just started doing that completely on my own without charging. So there are two areas that I coach predominantly on. One is at the leadership in the industry. Provided that I have a good context of what is the problem there, what is happening there. The second is the HR people. I still struggle to coach HR people because with the background, suddenly I don't know sometimes whether I'm slipping into advisory, mentoring. Those lines sometimes become a little blurred. But the experience has been to use the filters very, very clearly, and made a lot of mistakes in accepting some of the assignments, doing them, getting myself frustrated. So that was the journey. So I wouldn't say I found a niche, but somewhere I'm just trying to figuring out. As the time goes by, I'm also slowly moving more towards the team coaching. And that has been deeply satisfying because you actually can see the results in a much more, for me, I'm not saying in a better way. So that's what is happening now.
So a few things that I picked up. It sounds like having similar background could be both a benefit and a hindrance. So maybe use that if it's a background you enjoyed, use that as to get your foot in the door, but it may make your assignment a bit tougher.
From a business development perspective, I think the background helps.
Yep.
If they perceive you as somebody who think you have done that and you understand that, the background helps. As Pradeep very rightly said, whether it is relevant or not is a different issue, but only from a business development perspective it helps. So initially, rather than talking coaching, if you just engage with the sponsors on their issues and their problems and socialize with them, that's a great business development. At least I'm not an expert on business development, but that is what has worked for me.
Yeah. So actually, I was going to comment on that too. It sounds like you're using your active listening skills when you're speaking to your sponsor to figure out how to help them best. Tying back to coaching competence.
I'm still learning active listening, and though people who know me know that, but yeah, it's working somewhat.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We're all learning those. My family is very happy that I'm finally learning those. They told me that I haven't learned them yet, so we'll see. Well, something else I wanted to ask. Building trust and intimacy too. Yes, you're right. That's building trust and intimacy. Great. Yeah, coaching competencies tying back to everything, not just the actual coaching conversation. So you talked about moving towards team coaching. So you're moving towards it. So how did you get into it? And how come you're thinking that this is, an area you're going to pursue more and more?
So first and foremost, with Cindy on a call, let me give a disclaimer that I call something team coaching. She would verify whether this is actually team coaching. Yeah. So I'll tell you what all good things happen by accident. So what happened is that I got engaged with a lot of leadership workshop in terms of getting a team of leaders together and literally setting a fire in a positive sense for them to see the vision, to dream it. Very emotive kind of workshops I do in terms of leadership taking something very, very lofty. Like just last month, some manufacturing guys took a production target, tripling production target in 5 years, and those kind of stuff happen. And then I was doing coaching independently. And slowly what started happening is that the guys for whom I had done those workshops, they started approaching back to me saying, hey, look, why don't you just, also do a support us, that you set us on the path. Why don't you really get into supporting us on that? And I was doing it informally earlier. And then came a phase where I said, okay, we will first, it's like setting a coaching agenda. So that workshop is like a setting coaching agenda. That's what we do to begin with. And then I support them throughout as a team, how they're interacting with vis-a-vis that goal, how they're working with each other, and also the individual sessions I do to understand, what are their personal challenges. And the third thing I do is that if I feel across, like one of the teams I was doing with, I realized that the business acumen, and business acumen by I mean is a street smart commercial sense, was a common theme. So I end up doing the workshops with no extra charge or cost for them. Whatever I feel is a learning need, we go on in an interactive way. So it's evolved over a period of time, doing different things at a different time, and they started coming together. And now I believe I'm doing team coaching, but I mean that's moving towards that direction. That's how it is.
Or would that be actually systemic coaching? Yes.
I still get a little confused with all those, so I was just hoping.
Got it. Cindy, would you like to comment on the systemic coaching, team coaching bit? I think it's a good introduction.
So I think from the way coaching was done, sorry, I'm muting myself. I think from the way coaching was done years ago, and the way it is becoming more and more evolved now in a very integrative process. Perhaps that's the use of the word systemic. But in many cases, it was being done like this for years, Now, some coaches will call it a holistic approach. Some will call it an integrative approach. I think the new buzzword now is systemic. So, I can see in Yogesh's face that, it's a word. It's just a new word at the moment. But what it's doing, what's systemic now, what it's doing is making everybody more and more aware that the individual doesn't work alone, or the team doesn't work alone. There are so many layers or ripples around what one particular team or individual does. So that saying, no man is an island. I think there's more and more awareness of the ripple effect of what one team, coaching one team, can have on the rest, from a personal point of view and a professional or organizational point of view. So I like the approach that more and more people is now become aware of it, and I think that's the systems approach got more and more highlighted, and that's what it created. Because the systems approach came out of psychological theories, right? Or the psychological approach of biopsychosocial systemic approach, where everything is included in the individual. So I think I like that it's filtered into a more holistic, organic approach to coaching.
Thanks, Cindy. And I think what's really interesting about that too is that, from our topic today perspective, is that you could start with one kind of niche or focus, and just by the virtue of doing coaching, you find other things that you love, and you find other things that you're good at, or in Yogesh's case, people actually approach you to do it, and you go, oh yeah, I could do that. That's great.
Of course.
So yeah, just as everything else, coaches evolve throughout their career.
If I'm
so
not
Magda, I have a question for you. Oh, sorry, you go. Then I'll ask Magda a question.
Okay.
So if I'm not taking already too much time, so one of the agricultures, I was at an airport and I keep talking to people. One of the, I was sitting across a man, and he was basically an agricultural scientist. So he asked me, what do I do for a living? And I told him about coaching. So he smiled, and then he said, something, you can work on seed to give more yield. Yeah. But as long as you don't work on soil and, the environment, the crop is not going to be very good. So you can't only work on the seed to give more yield. You have to really work on the whole conditions. And to my mind, that agricultural scientist in one line, explained me the whole essence of team coaching. I don't even know his name, but I don't pay him royalty, but that's the example I'm using to explain people what exactly and why it is working actually. Sorry, Cindy, you were saying something.
I love that.
Oh, it's lovely, yeah. Thanks, Yogesh. So Magda, I wanted to ask you, now that you have experience of being in a coaching space and learning coaching, what are you noticing that would be most concerning to new coaches? So if you didn't have a career and you weren't CEO of Coacharya and wasn't so good at marketing, where would you position yourself as concerns for a new coach?
Concerns for a new coach. Honestly, so what I have found just to practice coaching through our triads and, logging my hours, that it doesn't really matter who I'm talking to, because as long as you actually are focusing on using those coaching competencies, you can have, and the listening especially, you can have a great coaching conversation and you can be valuable to your client. So that's the good thing I found. The concern that I have found is just removing yourself is, I think, the toughest bit. And that's something that I hope is going to come with practice. But me, especially being a very emotive person, and I get very excited. And I also get very angry when I guess my empathy is really high. That's what I'm trying to say. That it's hard to remove myself from really empathizing with something that I'm hearing, or I have to go bite my tongue when I want to give advice, but I know I can't or I shouldn't. So, a few times I've been asking permission from the client to, speak not as a coach, which just because I know that I can't hold back anymore. But even if I can hold back, for me working on my facial expressions, even, I think it's for me, it's been really tough, because I've always been a heart on a sleeve type person. Like if I'm angry, you know that I'm angry. And I have ways to cope with my emotions, obviously, to not be so overt. But, when you're having a coaching conversation, I think part of being a good coach, I think, is having empathy. And, we're not automatons, right? We're people, we're humans. So we will interact with people that we're coaching, but yeah, we have to remove ourselves to a degree, and that's been really, really hard for me. Whether I'm talking to someone much younger than me who I just want to hug and give advice to someone who's much more senior than me, and I've never done corporate. My background's in startups, so but I found myself being perfectly fine speaking to someone who's been in a hardcore corporate job, just as long as I'm listening well and removing my own judgment from the conversation.
Thank you for answering that.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, so my niche is going to be women who have gone through the same kind of stuff like me, so that I'm allowed to hug them. Oh, it's hard. It's hard.
You don't have to detach yourself so much, just enough not to give advice.
Yeah.
But I can see the smile on your face, because when you get the MCC part, you are attached to some attachment. You just got to know how to come across with that attachment, right, Yogesh?
Yeah.
There are words we can use in the way we come across. And your own intuitiveness, or as I call it, the wisdom of a person, really adds enormous value to the coaching conversation, but just not coach jumping in and giving advice. Our coach shows up with noticing, observing, and curiosity.
Yep. And with silence, which you are amazing at, and Ram is amazing at. It's another thing I struggle with. I hear a pause and breath, and I just want to get in there. But I think finding those silences also builds rapport, I think, quite a bit, especially when you are. I think Deepa was asking about, if you don't have corporate background, how can you be successful with people who are? And using the kinds of words that Cindy was talking about, really paying attention to your client and using those silences, I think that's so powerful, and really others respect you for it, I think.
I think Cindy,
Deepa,
what you
this one,
sorry,
I don't
what
have
you
a call.
talked during the MCC journey about focusing on a person and not on the content helped a lot.
Oh, yeah,
Otherwise,
of course.
yeah, I mean, I just realized the magic. You know, if you just focus on the feelings of the person, what the person is saying, you just get distracted from your own wisdom. You know, all of us have that problem of, you know, sometimes I get too enchanted with my own wisdom. But when I start focusing on a person's feelings rather than his content, it just is a tremendous help. So thank you a ton for that. I mean, that's the huge change. Thank you.
I'm taking notes of all these little tidbits, Yogesh, from you today. I'm going to be using those later. So I do want to hear from Pradeep a little more, but there's a question from the audience about coaching youth and young people, especially from underserved populations. I wish Nishmita was still here because she actually has literally done that, but I don't see her on the panel anymore. So Nishmita, if you're here and want to raise your hand, let me know. But otherwise, have any of you had experience with coaching youth, young people?
Yeah, Magda, I have had experience in coaching youth, but not underprivileged or underserved as such. These are people who are just out of college, just first year of their work, etc. And my clients have come because they know me otherwise with my work. You know, so these have been independent. I don't see many corporates paying us to coach youths. So they're busy coaching their alpha managers. So these are, you know, personal clients. And I have a millennial son, which helps because these guys are also very similar to that. And that experience of parenting has helped me a lot in being able to coach these people. So unlike a corporate or a senior people, the touch points are little less structured here, you know, and I find that the coaching is for shorter time, maybe because they have something to ask, then they will ask. And I found it that I have to be prepared that they may just not get back immediately for the next session. So those are some of the things which I had experienced, but I have been very happy doing it because they actually have their purpose of what they want to be coached in very clear, even clearer than many of the senior people, because they're just starting out on their careers and all that. So they're very clear about what is the area that they want to be coached in. And I use psychometrics with them to start off the conversation because that gave a common ground. Like I have used Hogan a lot, you know, and Hogan is not cheap, but I had we have used it extensively. So we get 1 or 2 marketing links, which I had used. So that helped a lot. And I've also done some other certifications, which are little developmental kind of psychometrics, not MBTI. I have used those also, and I find that as a starting point for conversation with youth to be very useful.
That's I think we should do a webinar potentially on psychometrics in the context of business development. I think it could be an interesting topic, so I've noted that one. But one thing you mentioned that resonated with me was experience in parenting. I'm not a parent. I have lots of furry kids. One of them is always with me at every webinar, Sailor. So I can't totally relate, but for me, doing coach training actually has been quite impactful in my personal relationships with my parents, with my sister, with friends. I've even started changing how I have conversations with potential coaches. I'm trying to have them ask coaching conversations versus as, you know, answering questions more as a marketer and salesperson, you know, hat. I'm trying to use my coach hat because it's more effective for everyone around. So yeah, I just thought I'd mention that because parenting is not something you think about as training for coaching, but it definitely is. And vice versa, I think coaching can be helping you in your role as a parent. and as a sister, and as a good neighbor, and as a manager, employee, whatever. I just think it's such a powerful tool. Maybe it's a niche related comment, but I thought I'd mention it.
So Magda, what I think is even with the, getting a dog as or a cat and being with them is like parenting, and almost like parenting an introverted person who won't talk to you.
Yes, you're right.
So it's a good experience.
Or a passive aggressive person if you're a cat who just,
Yeah.
with cats can relate. Anyway, Pradeep, we haven't heard much from you.
Hi.
Hello, welcome back.
No,
What have
I
you been
think
thinking?
people have been sort of adding some very valuable points which they have been making. I do have a viewpoint about this whole topic of the niche, and
Please.
if I have the permission, I can sort of say so. I think there have been debates on the chats on 2-3 things. One is, do you need to have the experience or exposure in the area that you want to specialize in, or you want to have a niche in? I think that's one of the common themes that I come across. Is that correct? Is that a common theme?
Yeah,
my view is
Pradeep.
Yeah, my view is as follows, very honestly. There are two aspects to it. One is getting a client. Now, in getting a client, yes, it helps if you have the experience in the areas that your clients are looking to coaching for. So if you're health and wellness, if a client is looking for a health and wellness coaching, then obviously if you have some credentials and experience around that area, you stand a better chance of getting a foot through the door. So that's about marketing yourself. And yes, I do believe that having that credential, which comes from your experience, your track record in that area, helps you get a foot in the door. But when you start coaching, honestly, it is a holistic approach. You cannot coach a person without looking at a person holistically, which is what Cindy also referred to, right? And there is the niche doesn't matter. Except I do feel that understanding the context in which your client operates helps you ask those questions that make the client very reflective. But it's not necessary condition, but it's a helpful condition, if you know what I mean. So if the question is, should I start a niche, or should I start with a niche in which I have got experiences? My recommendation is, yes, please do, because it just helps you get your clients faster. But when you do get your clients, when you do start the coaching, then of course the niche really doesn't matter, because whether it is health and wellness, whether it is executive coaching, whether it is life coaching, frankly, all of it, you're dealing with life coaching. Cindy would be a greater authority to speak on this, so I will defer to her, but that was my 2 bits.
I like it.
I'm not going to respond because I'm any authority. I'm responding because I agree with what you are saying around. So I'll just divert for a minute and say something else. I didn't have any corporate experience when I started coaching. I took a 10-year break to raise my kids. And when I re-entered the work, I started coaching. So how I started coaching, I was Googling a way to bring in all my university education courses I had done into one consolidated approach. And why not Google? I found this word coaching. And of course, curiosity got the better of me. I dug around, found out more about it, and started my first course in coaching with the neuroscience group. So that point that if you're wondering about, do you need to have a corporate background to coach executives? I didn't. But I think what worked for me is this word credibility again, whatever that meant at that time, I'm not sure. I can only talk about this in hindsight. What it meant that time is I kept improving myself and just kept getting better and better at learning about executives, with doing leadership courses and whatever I needed to do. Lots of Google searches on how to get better at doing some things. So I think I just got better and better at executive coaching, and became a highly regarded executive coach because of my own self-development in that field, because I took some risk and threw myself into that field too.
That makes total sense, and it's encouraging.
Yeah.
I think what I wanted to add is, we in this conversation we talked about professional background, but I think just your background in general is something you could leverage. So again, like Cindy, I have zero corporate experience. I've worked for startups. My biggest startup, I suppose, was an insurance company, but it was still a startup. So I can't go in and say that I've worked in a 5,000 person organization just because I haven't. But I can have other things I can talk about. I can talk about the fact that I was in Silicon Valley. I can talk about the fact that I'm a woman and have been in all situations where I'm the only woman in the room. I'm Polish. I'm a big foodie. I don't know if that's relevant or not, in a coaching situation, but there's just other things in my background that can help me relate to potential people that I'll be coaching. And like Pradeep said, it's about, foot in the door and starting. So leveraging what you have, not necessarily just what's on your resume, but leveraging what you have in your life experience to get your foot in the door and growing from there. Would you guys agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
In fact, if you can just relate to anyone, then after that, whether your experience is there or not doesn't matter. I mean, funnily enough, I spent about 20 years of my life with the technology industry out of my whole experience. And I thought most of my work would come from a technology industry. And it's actually the other way around. So now it's just whether you can relate to a person talking to. Yeah, I mean, I will say it very bluntly. In my case, sometimes the gray hair and bulky personality just helped to look me a little more wiser. But other than that, if you can relate to a person better, that's it. I mean, nothing else.
So Yogesh, I agree with what you say, but getting the foot into the door, just getting a foot in is what it becomes difficult if you don't have that background. And of course, certification helps a lot. I know personally that a lot of companies I also work through consultants, other consultants, the big five and all, and do coaching through them. And many of them are now just asking for a certificate just to put you up as a potential coach. So it's getting the foot in, it's not the actual coaching which is difficult. Would you agree?
Yeah, so so getting the foot is easier, I would say.
If you have the
people perceive that you understand their problems and things like that. But I go with what Cindy said. There are many better ways of expressing. It's all about how do you reach out to them saying that I understand your problem. Yes, if you have the background similar to theirs, yes, it's they assume that you may understand better. But yeah, that will make it easier. But that's not a complete door shutting on that is what I would say.
So it sounds like there's no one size fits all, like with most things in life. And also being through the coach training right now, a few of us, it took us a while to even just start coaching, not because we couldn't, but because it's a bit terrifying. And I think just like with that, I mean, if you're already thinking about coaching and you're in this webinar and in the training course, you've taken that first step. If you're practicing coaching, great. If you aren't practicing, take that step and just see kind of what works. And same with, finding your niche or finding clients. It's going to be uphill sometimes. It's going to be easy other times, but just one of those things that no one's going to give you on a platter. You just have to put yourself out there, take some risks, and hope for the best, but don't be discouraged by any downfalls. Like Yogesh said at the very beginning, there's tons of blunders and mistakes that people make along the way.
Magda, it is little like cycling. There's so much you can do by thinking and this thing. Finally, it's about doing. I mean,
yes, just do it. Just Nike. So we have about 5 minutes left. So I will ask everyone to kind of just give us their parting thoughts. But as they are doing that, I'm going to put another poll on the screen, because I'm interested to hear from those of you who are attending what kinds of topics you want us to cover in these webinars. So I'll do that. And there's also a question from the audience asking about, does it matter if one has ACC or PCC? And again, I'm going to say it depends, because when we get inquiries at Coacharya, we frequently get very specific ones, or they're kind of really general. There's really not middle ground. I would say that people who are requesting a specific kind of coach, they know their coaching credential landscape, and they will usually request a PCC coach or MCC. And I think the reason they will do that is just, if you look at the content of what is in the training for those two, ACC is focused on coaching competencies, which the foundation, you need to have that no matter what. End of story. But there's not that much more room for you to explore. Whereas when you're going through the training towards PCC, it's about making sure that, yes, you're solid on the coaching competencies, that you're coaching at a higher level, but that's where you get exposed to and learn about different approaches and tools. And that's where you can really figure out, what's resonating with you and what isn't. And that's where you can really start thinking about things like niches, things like, what kind of coach am I? What kind of tools are available to me to help my clients? So I think that kind of clients who understand the coaching credentials, my perception at least is that that's why they prefer a PCC coach. That's not to say that they won't hire an ACC coach, but if I'm seeing in specific requests, they do ask for PCC. Any comments on that, or just closing thoughts? In the meantime, everyone, please vote on the screen about the most challenging areas for you. Who wants to start conclusions? Cindy's always brave.
Okay, so don't, as Magda was talking earlier on, don't be disillusioned if something is not working out. Try other options. As coaches, we're good at coaching clients on options. We ourselves must do the same for our business. Try options until you find the best that works for you.
Awesome. Gayatri, do you want to go next, since I know you have to run?
Yeah. So I think the one important thing is, we keep telling the clients that they have the answers. We have to believe that we have the answers to building our business and show that confidence to the clients. One of the mistakes I made initially was to be tentative. Have you coached vice president? I did it before my certification, not after. And I remember Ram telling me, you've done it. Be confident. You project the confidence and they will buy it. And I didn't do it in the beginning. Now I'm a little smart.
That's awesome. Pradeep?
No, I think I'll just add to what Gayatri said. Believe that you're a big good coach. Get trained if you want to get trained, to get that belief in yourself. But I think it's the belief in what you are able to, how you connect with the people, that actually gets you your clients. And then, of course, it's how you coach.
Beautiful. Yogesh?
no, I think everybody has said it. I mean, it's all about a hard profession. So, you want to really do it, you will figure a way out. I mean, the trick is keep doing it, keep trying it out. You'll figure a way out, and that's all. Nothing else.
Sounds like great advice from everybody. Well, thank you so much for this panel today. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and you guys are an inspiration. So I'm very happy that you were here. Thank you to all the attendees. We will hopefully see you here next month or at our many other webinars. You can expect an announcement of our next topic shortly via email. And for any of you who wants to get a CCEU for this webinar, there will be one. I put the link in the chat, but if you just go to coacharya.thinkific.com, that's THINKIFIC.com. You will see this webinar listed there, and the password is orange. Cool. I guess we are wrapped up for today. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you.
Bye.